Hey.
Gabagoo.
Hey guys, welcome to the Nerd Age Podcast. This is just a show where we talk nerdy about all sorts of things.
Nice.
With me is Jonah.
Hey, how's it going?
Corey.
What it is.
And I'm your host, Josh.
Nice.
So today, we're going to talk about some trailer news.
We got a lot of news.
We got a lot of trailers.
We got a lot of news. We're going to talk about Loki at the end of the show, but a lot of stuff dropped. So we're going to be going through that. We're going to start a new segment called
Trailer Talk.
Trailer Talk.
In a world where people talk about trailers, it's time for a trailer talk.
Beautiful.
Epic.
Yeah. A lot of trailers.
Yeah.
So I'm going to run them. We're going to run through them.
Okay.
We had a Garfield trailer.
Good.
Okay.
You started with the best one.
We got a Garfield trailer. We got a Rebel Moon trailer. Okay. We got Masters of the Air, which is the new Band of Brothers Pacific miniseries. Masters of the Air. We got Netflix Last Airbender, Avatar trailer. Our first look at that. Godzilla -0. And am I missing one? I feel like I'm missing one.
Did you already say Rebel Moon?
I did say Rebel
Okay.
Moon. Okay,
I think that's
so I think that those are them.
I think so.
Oh, Ghostbusters.
Oh.
The new
Right.
Ghostbusters movie.
Sick.
Hey, I know you guys aren't big excited. I like the last one they did, and this I'm excited for this one.
Okay.
So, anyways, I figure the way we're gonna do it is we're just gonna go one by one
Because there's so many of them.
because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
We're gonna go one by one, and then we're gonna say whether it was a blast, which means a good trailer, or trash.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
And you might want to turn up the volume
Yeah,
just a little
okay,
bit on
okay,
that.
yeah.
You know, put it a little higher, a little higher.
Blow
There
our
you go.
ears out. So.
Well, it's fine.
Yeah.
So let's start with Garfield, okay? Because I think that's the one that's fresh in our minds. It just came out today. Chris Pratt, incredible voice acting.
Wow.
He is Emmett in the Lego movie.
Yes.
He's Mario, and now he's Garfield. And does he sound any different? Not really.
Not really.
It's crazy.
What'd you guys think of the Garfield trailer?
You know, Corey, you just watched it.
I
so-
just watched it. I'm sure he does work for like sound effect things, like little like reactions. Yeah, he's got different reactions and stuff. But his voice for like lines, it's the same.
Well, it's kind of like Ryan Reynolds, like when he was Detective
Yeah.
Pikachu, and it was
Oh,
he did another character too that was like, it's just Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they get them too. Like they don't want them to do anything fancy.
Yeah, they want
like
some-
their
yeah.
funny voices. How would you? Oh, okay. It's Garfield. I mean, it's gonna be a kids show, and they're gonna try to have adults have fun too. It looked all right.
It looked,
maybe
to me, it looked like,
but we're not in the 6s or the 4s business here, right?
We're in trash or blast.
We're at 100 or 0,
Yeah.
baby. And I'm gonna say trash for me.
Hit him with the trash.
No. It's based on we got 3 people here, so the consensus.
Oh, consensus is what it gets?
Yeah. Otherwise, we're pressing this.
Okay.
30
All right.
times.
That's what I was just going to say.
Okay,
Yeah.
Consensus.
Man, I blocked you. From that was
Thank
so
you.
close.
That's good. I almost pressed the wrong one anyway.
I'm gonna say, for me, the animation didn't look anything special. Generic. The humor seemed very childish, and so, like you're saying, I'm used to the Pixar kind of like, oh, it's also for adults. There's kind of things that everyone will love. This one just seems kind of like Garfield's going to be eating a lot of food, and so. For me, again, I thought the opening also with the piano and the whole thing it didn't work for me. Samuel L. Jackson and his dad, that might be interesting.
Nick Fury.
Interesting.
You should have had a
big
scar
cat.
over one of his
Oh
eyes.
my
There's
gosh.
that. The one scene I did laugh a little bit was when they're both in the fridge, and they're,
Yeah.
John opens the door and they're both eating there. But I'm also going to say trash.
Who plays John?
I don't know. I didn't
You
pay
didn't
that
care to
much
look it up?
attention.
I don't really care about Garfield, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna say really this didn't like make me
Yeah.
want to care more about Garfield anyway.
I will say the only thing for
Go
our.
ahead, spit it out.
I'm not. Maya's been watching the old Garfield movies where Bill Murray is Garfield, and
Never
those
seen
movies are terrible. But my only positive experience with Garfield is when we were growing up at Aunt Linda's house in Moscow, Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
They had 3 or 4 Garfield books that I would read through.
Yeah. They're the comics.
The
Yeah.
comics.
Yeah, comics.
That's the only
Yeah.
positive thing I have. I think the movies have all been trash. So
Yeah.
So I think
Are
the
we on
consensus is trash.
Trash.
it's trash.
There you go. That's a nerd age trash.
Yeah.
All right, what's the next one?
Let's go with Masters of the Air because it's popped into my head. So Masters
Okay.
of the Air, the continuation, or I guess not continuation, but it's the same people that made Band of Brothers and The Pacific. Now this is on Apple. What is it? Apple
Plus.
TV? Apple Plus?
Apple TV.
So it comes out in January. It's been, I think it was on your most
It was
anticipated
on my
list.
most anticipated. Missed it by a
And
month.
so you missed it by a month.
Wow.
So we finally got our first trailer.
Dang. Unlucky.
I think it looks awesome. It just looks gorgeous like the Band of Brothers and the Pacific does. I'm not as big a fan as the Pacific. I thought Band of Brothers was better. So I hope this is a return to form. That the cast is great. So I'm looking forward to this. I give this a blast.
Yeah, I think it looks. I guess, like you said, it was on my most anticipated for this year. Looks like it's on my next list, baby. Next year, it just moves over. But yeah, the cast looks great. This is the first we haven't seen anything. Like we saw some pictures maybe before, which is crazy that we haven't seen anything. We're just a couple months out, so I'm gonna give it a blast as well.
Well, strap in, guys. I didn't watch it, but I'm a fan of these shows anyway. As long as it's got a lot of soul and grit to it, I think I'll really enjoy it. But yeah, might as well strap in. It's time to blast off.
Oh, what a blast.
Oh my gosh. It was
Laser
a
blast.
laser blast. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So
By the way,
hey,
I haven't heard any of these, by the way.
so we got one trash and one blast. Let's move on to the next one.
All right.
Let's just go with Ghostbusters. I think it's called Frozen Empire is what I'm remembering. I really liked the one that just came out or a few years ago. I don't think you guys watched it. I think when I went and watched it by myself.
Which one?
Afterlife.
Yeah.
And so I remember on the podcast I said I got emotional because of what they did with it, kind of because of the real life implications. So I really liked the first one. I liked the cast. I like the kid from Stranger Things that's in it.
Finn Wolfhard.
I thought the girl that
Wait, I watched it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So
I'm
this
not
one
giving you credit, dude. You
I
believe
thought
that?
you guys didn't. Anyways, my bad.
Did we not go see it together?
No, because I
Okay.
went and watched it and then I said, "Oh, you guys should watch it. It was really good."
Okay.
Paul Rudd again.
Yeah, I watched this
he's
movie.
amazing, and so I think
You rate this higher
Give
than
me more.
A lot more than me.
give me more Ghostbusters. The original cast looks to be back in it. Probably not a ton, but at least they're in it. They're not keeping them a secret. So I'm okay with this. I give this a blast, guys. I had a blast. It looks good. I'm excited.
Was the original cast in the first one, or is that a spoiler?
Well,
It's a little spoiler.
I don't know.
I mean, I guess I kind of spoiled
Yeah,
it.
he did. Because why would he say that in the first place? So anyway.
They show up. They show up.
Oh, like, yeah, no, you might as well not even.
Yeah.
You know.
You should have hit that.
No. Oh. Nice.
So I give it a blast.
Okay.
Corey, what about you?
Man, I want to do like a 6 or something like that. Just right over the.
No way, dude. It's all in.
It's trash or blast, man.
Trash or blast.
Oh, sure. Blast off into space. Whatever.
Nice.
Did you watch it? The trailer?
Yeah, I watched the trailer.
Okay.
I watched the trailer. I didn't watch the first one.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Ghostbusters movies in forever. I know I've seen them, but I don't remember them. So I'll have to rewatch them, and then I'll rewatch Afterlife or watch Afterlife for the first time, and then I'll watch this one because it has Paul Rudd in it. And you know, my scale, Paul Rudd, automatically
It
interested.
goes up.
Gives it
It
like
goes
a
up.
whole point.
The worst Paul Rudd movie is Ant-Man and Quantumania.
That is true.
He was misused in that.
I was shocked.
They would have been in
But-
real trouble if they didn't
Yeah.
have him. Poof.
But you're
All right.
giving this a blast?
I'll give it a blast.
Wow, what a blast.
Yeah. Hey, 2 blasts, 1 trash. Yeah. We're moving on to the next one. Netflix. We're going into the Netflix zone here. We're going to start with Avatar, The Last Airbender. We finally got our first look. I'm not going to give my thoughts because I've been doing every single one.
Sure.
Let's start with Josh. Go ahead. Thoughts on the trailer?
My thoughts on the trailer. I actually thought it looked pretty good. It was hard. There's behind the scenes drama with the original creators and they left, so there's that. That's kind of a bummer. But as far as how the trailer looked, I thought the casting looked good. The actors all looked like they fit the part. I mean, you got Sid Shin.
That's right.
From Lost as the Fire Lord. Yeah, it looks cool. I'm excited to see more of it. It seemed like it took a pretty serious tone with this first trailer, which what I like about Avatar: The Last Airbender is how goofy it is. So Crystal and I were kind of like, oh, let's hope they keep the goofiness a little bit.
Maybe that's why they had differences. They wanted it goofy, and Netflix said, no, we want
let's
it
get the dark and gritty
dark and gritty.
Last Airbender.
That's right.
Well, is it making you want to blast off?
I'm gonna blast off,
Yeah,
homie.
he's blasting.
Oh my gosh, guys! I'm gonna be honest. Just judging it off of the trailer that we saw, this trailer, I think maybe trailer 2 could sway me. I didn't think that it matched what I expected from a Last Airbender show. It feels very different, and it looks. For you said it looks really nice. I thought it looked kind of weird, bro. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think it's matching. It's hard to match the goofiness and that almost American style animation, into live action. It's like hard to, translate that feeling and that emotion, that more levity kind of like emotion. And so for me, it just felt kind of weird. I'm like, uh-oh. My knee-jerk reaction was like, is this Dragon Ball Evolution 2.0? Oh. I hope not. I hope not. No, I just, that's just that's my instinct. And so for me, I got to crash. Is that what I'm doing?
You're trashing.
I'm trashing. I'm trashing.
Okay.
I do it right with
That's
it.
a third category.
So I'm the tiebreaker here,
Yeah.
whether this is going to be a blast or a trash.
Yeah.
So I think visually, I thought all the characters looked like the characters. It wasn't like, oh, that guy's just completely miscast. I think, to your point, we won't get to really know until we see more of a story trailer to see more of the dynamics there. It was just kind of like, let's just give you your first looks at things and like things from the series. So having that thing in the back of my head that's like nervous about like what the cast has done, like, I mean, them getting rid of the original creators because of differences. That aside, I thought this was actually pretty good as far as like, okay, at least it looks faithful to it. I think we'll have to find out later if the goofiness translates, but I just think for the first look to be like, these are the characters, this is the world, how it looks, I thought it looked pretty good. And so I'm going to give this a blast.
Blasting off.
We're blasting off.
Oh, what a blast.
Yeah.
I'm jumping out of the ship.
Hey, you guys wanted to do it this way. We could have been like,
No,
blast.
I love this. I love this. I love this. No,
So
this is
next
great.
thing.
Blast.
Next one we're going to, we're going to stay into Netflix. We're going to go with Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon. We got the big trailer drop. It was a pretty long trailer. So we're going to go to Corey. Corey, give us the first salvo here. What did you think of the Rebel Moon trailer?
It kind of surprised me a little bit. I was talking to my wife about it because she watched it as well. And she was like, wait, I thought this was supposed to be a ripoff of Star Wars, is what she said. And so the fact that she's like, she didn't feel that way, or she didn't get that kind of, she wasn't like led into that. I mean, I think that speaks volumes. I think it is its own, it feels like it might be its own story. I mean, we've seen this kind of like, someone who's wanted goes to like a nice village or someone houses them and then it causes more problems for them. And that's kind of like the hook. We've seen that a million times.
Yeah.
But I liked it. I think it was good. I think the visuals were cool. Some of it looked a little, maybe not AAA quality CGI and like blending with like green screen shots. So that's where it kind of lacked a little bit of quality for me, and where it felt Netflix, and not in a great way. But I mean, generally, I think some shots looked really cool. Like notably, there's like the shot of this guy with like the two swords or knives or whatever blades, like jumping onto a ship to like attack it, and it's like the slow motion shot, classic Zack Snyder, slow motion.
Vintage Snyder.
And that looked really good. Like that little like 2-second shot, I was like, that looks like he fits. It looks really good. But there are some other shots where the background's just mismatched. But as far as intrigue, blast me off. I'll go up in that ship with them.
Nice. Josh, what about you?
But I didn't get to see a molten sword, which is kind of lame. Did she have one? Was it the molten sword?
It's the girl that she can turn them off and on.
Oh, did she have it on and molten?
Yeah.
Okay.
You see when they're red and she goes.
Okay.
She like kind of.
I'll have to check it out.
I missed that.
Yeah, same.
I think it. I mean, I like the first trailer we got. This is more of the same. I think we got less of the.
I think this revealed a lot more of the story. Areas, though.
I think visually it looks good. I do agree. I think it's the shot when the ships are coming into the village, which they showed in the first trailer.
That's one of them.
It doesn't seem, but everything else I think looks really good. Like the city shots that they have are like going up an elevator or whatever, and the world looks. Yeah, exactly. The world looks really cool, and I like the characters seem interesting. So,
and I'll clarify, the shots that I'm talking about is when they're like kind of close-up shots of people on riding things or being in the sky, and like you see a big like a backdrop of something else. And for me, it just didn't match depth-wise, and it felt like it was like very green screen, obviously.
Yeah,
but like
but yeah, I think it looks good. I think the one thing that kind of takes me out a little bit
is knowing that it's a ripoff of Star Wars.
Yes.
Yeah. That should have been a Star Wars story.
That mostly. But man, why did I just lost my train?
My bad. Oh man, I messed you up, brother.
You messed me up, bro.
The thing that takes you out of it the most is the fact that it is
slow motion.
Oh,
got it.
Wait, really? Wait,
Yeah,
you're not joking? That's funny.
I just, we get it, Zach. We get it, bro. Okay. You like slow motion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But one slow motion shot that looked cool was when she had her she looks like her Warhammer armor on, she shoots and there's like the smoke. That looks cool.
Oh man, that's so funny.
You don't think it looks cool also when she grabs the flag and it's like in slow motion and the flag's in the back?
No, that looks cool. But the one thing that I'm like, the jumping with the thing, I'm like, how many movies do we have to see that shot in? True. You know what I mean?
True.
And so, and I do think that Zack Snyder does overuse the slow motion a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that it is a detractor for me. But otherwise, I think it's going to be a blast.
But wouldn't you say that like a lot of trailers overuse slow motion?
Yes, but
like I think it's just like a common strategy that trailers use.
But Zack Snyder.
Well, it's very convenient because he already has a million already ready to go.
Increases it.
It's
like, that was the shot in the trailer. And it's like, it went on for 5 more minutes.
Yeah. That was just 10% of the shot. Yeah.
Well, I think it's highly exaggerated. I don't think he uses it in every movie. So it's because like, it's his thing. It's like Michael Bay and explosions, right? Everyone's like,
and guess what? He gets made fun of it for it. And lens flares.
That's J.J. Abrams.
Oh, that's J.J. Abrams. That's right.
Lens flares. I thought the slow motion looked cool. I like the slow motion that they use when she takes everybody out in the barn. I thought it was a mix of slow motion and then would speed up. I thought that was cool. And I kind of did a little reaction on TikTok, our TikTok channel. But Zack Snyder did, I think, one of the best Batman scenes. I'll say it, the best action Batman scene of all time is in Batman v Superman, the warehouse scene. And so if he's got his same people that do the choreographies, that's going to be a really awesome scene with her in that barn taking out all those enemies. I think it looks great. I like the casting. I think there's some really good actors in there, and I'm intrigued. Oh, yes, I'm very intrigued with a lot of this stuff that they're setting up. I think Anthony Hopkins as Jimmy is, again, one of my characters that I want to see the most, because there's this dynamic of him being a robot but having, like, you know, a connection to the earth and all that kind of stuff. I just think there's some really cool things that they're setting up. I think the villain looks like you're going to hate him in the first 5 minutes, and he seems to be setting up to be a good villain. So I really like this trailer. I'm giving it a blast.
Does it distract you that the villain looks like he's at a prep school?
No. And the other thing I'll say, the guys behind
he's like a British.
yeah.
Is that British boarding school?
the guys,
Scariest men come from boarding schools.
The guys behind him,
They look cool.
those guys are
Bro,
sick.
take the tie off. You know what I'm saying?
I don't like the look.
I will say this, and
Well, no one's gonna stop you.
you guys may hate this, but Zack Snyder confirmed that this universe is the same as his Army of the Dead universe.
That's the worst thing you could have said.
Nice.
Well, I know, but
Bummer.
what I'm saying is,
Unlucky, I guess.
what I'm saying is,
Bummer.
our world is like, this is in the same universe. Like,
Is he gonna Planet of the Apes?
I don't think so, but there's an element where it's like, well, the zombies in that were droids, were in Army of the Dead. So there's an element where does a zombie outbreak come from? At the beginning of Army of the Dead, there's 2 ships that fly by really quick. So there's kind of setting up this aspect of like, oh, it's in the same universe. There could be stuff that they're messing around with. Same way Aliens kind of does that with, you know, Prometheus and all this kind of stuff.
Trash.
So anyways,
He
but
gave him the soundboard, bro.
but I think
Oh, man.
I don't know. I don't mind his outfit. The tie's like, oh, whatever.
It
It's
could
just a
be-
tie.
Yeah, but it could be so much
Bro, it could be
cooler,
so much
dude.
better, and you know that, and you know it could be so much better.
Well, yeah, it could be, but
Like
it's not
not even
something.
close to being awesome.
But it's not something.
awesome.
It's not something that I'm like, oh man, that's dumb. It's like, whatever. It's a tie. There's so many more cool things that I'm gonna look at, as opposed to a guy wearing a tie. When he
Yeah,
walks
and then
out.
you're going to look at him, and then he's going to show up, and you're like, oh. It would have been better if he had a bow tie. You know, that's all I'm going to say.
Well, why does
If you're
Han
gonna
Solo
go for a
wear?
tie-
Why does Han Solo wear boots? I
What?
mean, why does he have a vest? Why does Luke? Why does Luke
Why does Luke wear pants?
No, why does Luke wear?
Why does
the
Darth
Back to the
Vader?
Future vest?
Why does Darth Vader have a mask and black attire and a cape? Why does he have that?
Because he's a baddie.
You're say something crazy, do something crazy,
But we
dude.
don't. But we
Is that that?
don't
I don't know what it
know.
is.
We don't know
No,
what.
don't make it.
We don't know if he turns into something.
Hopefully, he has some kind of cool like end boss suit that he
Okay,
puts on.
so there's a there's a shot. One of the coolest shots in the trailer is there's like a bubble, and I think he's in it. And it's like, it looks like he's in the womb. He's like,
You bubble boy.
So we're going to see him put the tie on?
no, but no. What I'm saying is, obviously,
changing room.
What I'm saying is, obviously, this is a first.
Cufflinks.
Obviously, this is a first parter, right? So he could get a suit later on or something. But here, I guarantee
already
you
has
this.
a suit
I guarantee you
and
this.
tie.
If he shows up and he's wearing a mask and something, the first thing everyone's saying,
Persona.
including Josh on this, is like, oh, he's just a ripoff of Darth Vader.
No.
Yeah,
If
so
it's a
now
different
he's-
type of mask, then
No,
be
no,
good.
but see, that's what I'm
a
saying.
sick samurai mask?
It's he's
gonna look like
he's
the-
damned if he does, damned if he
Nah,
doesn't.
No.
Yes,
no.
because
just
it's
be
like,
just
Hey,
be unique.
Are there any ties in Star Wars?
There is
No. So therefore, he's being unique. He's not ripping off Star Wars. He gave the man
if
a
you're
tie.
comparing it to one other movie franchise,
I'm just saying.
Make it a laser tie at least or something.
yeah.
Hologram tie.
That looked like an outfit I could have gone to Hot Topic and picked up.
That's the point. It's the same.
That's the point.
But what I'm saying is, it's the same thing in Star Wars. All the Empire, they're all dressed like Nazi officers.
Well, they have
Yeah, they ain't
uniforms.
wearing ties though.
They're wearing uniforms, but I'm just saying, like, they have their little hats and their little insignia stuff in there.
Yeah, but Darth
The
Vader.
whole- that was the whole point.
Stormtroopers.
I'm talking about the officers that are all dressed like SS officers. That's what I'm saying. Wolfie Lauren, they're all
All right, well-
they're all made to look like
Well,
SS officers.
We're saying trailer blast off.
Give us
But-
a blast.
Did I already blasted?
Oh, what a
No, you
blast.
didn't.
But the outfit, trash. And that's our final on that one. Which one's the next one?
Godzilla minus a 1.
Wow.
Minus 0.
I need a. This isn't connected to the Apple Monarch
No.
show. This is
This is
Godzilla.
yeah, like Japanese Godzilla, baby.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you guys think about it?
I think it looks awesome. It's about time Godzilla wrecks up people
Japan.
in Japan and
Yeah.
not in New York.
Well, that's what
You
they.
know?
That's where
We're going back to the original,
Yeah, that's
baby.
where it
It's
originated.
about time we went back there.
Back
No,
to his
I think
roots.
it looks cool. The sound design is really cool. I liked at the end where his back
glows.
things go and they
radioactive.
go up, and then when he roars, they like click into place. And that's cool. I don't know. This is a movie that you're like you. This is a movie that you watch in the language. You watch it with subtitles. You don't do the dubs. You enjoy how it was meant to be watched, and you go and you watch Godzilla just wreck things.
Wow.
And I'm giving this
That's surprising.
a blast.
Wow. What about you, Josh?
Yeah, it looked good. I mean,
Right?
I
Visually looked really good too.
But it's like you're not going to be breaking anything down like, oh man, it's so interesting, the dialogue that they did. It's like
Right.
you go there for a reason, right? You want to see Godzilla wreck a house.
Here's the thing. I say it every time there's a Godzilla movie. Just give me Godzilla
Or a
wrecking
Transformers
dudes.
movie.
Or a Transformers movie. I want to focus on them. I don't care about your side story. You know
they
what
always
I mean?
have to have it because Godzilla can't speak English.
Well,
Neither can the other characters.
you don't know that.
fair point. Hey,
don't know
we
that.
might get subtitles with Godzilla. You don't know.
That'd be sick, actually.
There has to be some element of human story, right? Because,
Yeah,
like you
there
said,
always
Godzilla can't speak English, but I'm tired of the whole.
He can't speak any languages. Fair
We didn't
enough.
make a shirt. Nerd Age. We didn't make a shirt. Nerd Age shirt
Godzilla
says
doesn't
Godzilla
speak-
doesn't
speak
speak English.
Yep.
But I'm tired of the same old, like, I'm the dad in the military and my daughter. You know what I mean?
Oh,
It's
that's
like,
was in the trailer too. Where
it?
yeah, where
Oh,
he's
shoot.
like, I need.
I'm gonna have to trash
he has a
this.
little girl, and he goes, I want a better future for her. I want a
Yeah.
future for her. So it was still there, but it was more palatable because they didn't speak English.
okay, fair. And it wasn't Millie Bobby Brown
That's true.
True.
or Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm always down for a kaiju movie, so I'm gonna give it a blast.
Yeah, we'll blast off.
Blast
Sure.
it off. Nothing
Blast.
more to say. Blast off.
Oh, what a blast.
Dude,
I think
a
we.
good echo.
I think
That's a
we.
great echo.
I think we blasted all of them except Garfield.
Garfield. Better luck next time, Chris Pratt.
We were close. We were close with Avatar.
Wow. Yeah.
Clean sweep.
I tried.
Almost.
I tried. I tried.
So it's not a clean sweep.
A not so clean sweep. Oh.
60% of the time works every time.
And that's all the trailers?
That's all the ones that dropped this week that I remembered. I'm sure there's something that came out, but
Nice.
so yeah, that'll do it for our trailer talk.
A lot of trailers.
We're gonna move on to kind of just some random news that came out. First thing I think that we're all really excited for, we got the news that Nintendo and Sony are working together on a new Zelda live action movie. Corey, I think you probably know more of the info on it. So do you want to talk a little bit
Am I
about
the
it? Sure?
one?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I don't think I know much. Yeah, I don't know. I just know they've been working out for a long time.
Yeah.
That's the only intel I received was that they've been working out for 3+ years. So, when it comes to Nintendo, they don't take risks.
Yeah.
They're super protective over their IPs as well. So I think that primarily, and the fact that they're actually coming out and announcing it, that says a lot of confidence. Who knows what stuff they've scrapped in the past where it just didn't make the cut. But yeah, I don't know, Josh, do you know anymore? But I mean, I'm generally excited, obviously.
I think that's the biggest thing is that it's Sony and Nintendo working together.
Yeah.
The ancient enemy.
Crazy. It's crazy.
So that's cool.
Sworn
What's
enemies.
the Sony guy? Avi Arad or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
He does a lot of the animation stuff at Sony. So that he's involved is, I think, a good sign. We have a director, right? It's the
Wes Ball.
yeah.
And it's Avi, what's his name? Avi Arad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so interesting about Wes Ball. So he did the Maze Runner movies, which,
First one's good.
I like the first one.
Yeah.
He was doing a movie, The Mouse Tales or something, that was like a animation thing that then got canceled. But he's doing the new Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So that's interesting. But he had a tweet that was 2010. And he said, since I could never even hope to have the chance to direct it, the next big mocap Avatar-like movie should be The Legend of Zelda. It's kind of crazy. He tweets that, and then
mocap.
So many years later, he's like he gets the Zelda movie. So it'll be interesting. Like you said, the thing that gives me confidence is Nintendo doesn't mess around. Like they're the ones that they're going to worry about the story. They're going to be doing all that kind of stuff. So I'm not as concerned about what the story's going to be, like if they're going to ruin it, because I think they have the creator that made Zelda. He's working on it, that kind of stuff. It's just going to be like, the story's going to be solid. Now, who do you get to act and play these parts? And you mentioned that in our text group. You're like, hey, who would you cast?
Who would you
Are
cast
there
as
anything?
Link. Zelda.
Everyone keeps saying Tom Holland.
Tom Holland.
And I'm like, no, you can't do it. You can't do it. I'd rather they get a no-name actor.
I feel like you have to go unknown.
That can just...
I don't know. I mean, yeah. Tom Holland.
Yeah, no.
I think the only reason why that's like the first answer is because he's just very popular currently. So he's very,
Here's a question for you guys.
But I don't think he's the answer.
Yeah. Because there was someone put out there saying Nintendo and Sony are looking for an actor, and it was like a kid actor. It was like a 14-year-old kid, and they're looking for I can't remember the actor's name, but they're like an actor like this. Like this is what the look they're looking for.
Yeah, he looks like young Link.
Yeah, and so yes, and so that's
Can he hold a wooden sword?
That's
really
my question. Is this going to be just young Link? Are you going to get Legend of Zelda movie that's like the first movie is just totally young Link, like Wind Waker or something like that?
No.
Or are you going to get Ocarina of Time where it's split, where you're going to get young Link and then an adult Link? Or do you think they'll make it like a trilogy where you start young and then he grows up throughout the movies? What do you want, and personally, and then what do you think we're going to get? Two different questions. What would you want to see? And what do you think we're going to get?
I want to see Ocarina of Time in a 2-movie set.
Okay.
How sick would that be? The first movie is all, Little Link. And at the end,
Little Link.
He goes back in time.
Yeah.
And then the last scene is he sees the sky where the castles, with the dark clouds around Hyrule, and he's full grown.
And the camera goes, somebody goes, huh?
That'd be awesome, but it's not going to happen. So I don't know. I'm wondering, can you fit Ocarina of Time in one movie? I don't think you can. Well, maybe you can. You just kind of expedite some of the prereqs, like, he has to go around these different temples and get these gems, and then
how are you
time travel.
Yeah.
Maybe if you can commit 1/3 of the movie to young Link, and then everything after that is old Link, the main actor. Maybe you could pull it off. I think they could do it. I'm not sure. It's also the most well-known story.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you go with the most familiar? Well, because I would say that the Mario movie is kind of maybe a little clue onto what they might do. I think they're going to make their own story.
Yeah.
I think they're going to do their own play on it. I think it's still going to have the roots, obviously. Like, you want to smash the jar to get the rupee out, like little nods like that. But the core story has to be solid, and it has to work for live action.
There's going to be a scene where he just goes out and he's like slashing grass and finding money in there.
Yeah. He's like, I can't buy the shield. Shoot. He's like spinning.
He just rolls everywhere.
Yeah. Yes. He's like, it's slightly faster. It's slightly faster. Yeah. I don't know what story they're going to tell, but I think it's going to be a new one. I think it's going to be a fusion of ideas that we've seen with Link. It has to be defeating Ganondorf in some way or shape or form at the end of it. I don't know. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I think your idea sounds awesome of doing Ocarina of Time in 2 films.
Be sick.
That would be pretty sweet.
Think they will. But
that'd be a crazy way to end the first movie.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Because there are you do have mini bosses. Like you have ups and downs. Like even before you transform to or time travel.
But yeah, I think that would be ideal. But yeah, I think you're right. They're going to do an original story with input from the creator.
You know what I think they'll do? Just real quick. I think they're gonna do a fusion of maybe Ocarina and like Breath of the Wild, where Breath of the Wild had that Tears of the Kingdom revealed that like, oh, Ganon came from the village and like said he was someone he wasn't, and he like would got his way in and then but deceived everyone. And so it'd be cool to play him out to be this great deceiver, and then he kills the king, takes over, gets Zelda and takes over the kingdom. That'd be a cool little story, I think. Something with him being a deceiver.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's just hard. I think I would like to see a young Link and then have him grow up as you make more movies. I think that would be cool. The problem you run into, though, is all the Zelda stories are fairly similar, right?
Yeah.
We gotta save Zelda. It's just like Mario.
Yep.
You just have to drag that out in a certain aspect, maybe fuse a couple different stories together. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I think I was a little bummed to see it was live action. I think we've talked about it before. Yeah. I wanted to see animated, either CGI or like an anime style, because I think it's more palatable. It translates better. It's going to be hard to translate Zelda into live action, I think.
Yeah, maybe. I do think, like, I like what you're saying about it would be awesome if they had Ocarina of Time and that, but I think they
some
might
adaptation of that.
I think this movie,
just like
regardless of how good it's going to be, it's going to make a ton of money.
Oh, for sure.
And so I think they're already planning to make it either 2 movies or 3 movies.
I hope
to me.
Yeah.
And so I know we just got these games, but I think it'd be interesting if they did something, not the same story, but if they did Breath of the Wild / Tears of the Kingdom. The way you can kind of do it is when you play Breath of the Wild, you come back 100 years later. And so you're unlocking memories of the past of 100 years before. So I think you could do something where you're seeing Ganon come and take over. So the first movie is your Zelda's swordsman, and Ganon's coming. He's the big threat. And at the end of the movie, they lose, kind of thing. And then the next movie would be him waking up and having to figure out what happened. I think even if it's not the same story beats of Breath of the Wild, because I think they'll do something totally different. I think that element of being like, this character can be reincarnated or held in stasis for a certain amount as time passes, and then you have to figure out what happened over those years, and you have him unlocking that mystery throughout the adventure he's going on. I think that would be an interesting way to go if they decide to do that. And the reason I think they might do something like that is because I think it's fresh in their minds, because they've been working on this whole big universe with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. So maybe something in that realm kind of kickstarted some ideas of like, we could make this into a movie. So I think that might be something that I wouldn't be shocked if they pulled some elements from the newest games they've been doing.
I'm trying to think of what's going to match live action and be the most believable. And I also try to think of how do you create a supporting cast that has a lot of depth to it? Because ultimately, Link is an orphan or whatever. Yeah. He's like a nobody, And in Ocarina of Time, you have like the little like elf village, like the little like the forest village, and you can play with those elves.
Saria.
Yeah. And then you also get to have like the great Deku tree that kind of like what? Great Deku tree.
Yeah.
What?
I heard something else.
Okay. You hear what you want to hear. And I think that you can create kind of like a nice introduction to the character in the show with that little village and like fun characters and Saria or whatever her name is, Saria. And I think that can, then he gets sent out, right? And then he goes out to a larger world. And then you also have the castle. You have the little town around the castle, new characters, fun to interact with. You have, I think you have to somehow build the character of Link and it's hard to do without having things happen to him, and
without him talking, that's going to be
it's
really
a
hard.
huge challenge when you can't talk. Yeah.
Chris Pratt is doing the voice.
Oh gosh, not again. I don't know. I think that there's some cool and fun movie with fun exploits as a kid, as Link. I think, and then you have to build that relationship with Zelda as well.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of legwork you got to do to kind of build his character. So it feels like a 2 movie for me,
At least.
And I hope that I hope the story they tell is like resonates and is like deep, because I love the Mario movie, but it is very just like, all right, here we go. We're doing this. And all right.
How dare you?
It's true. I mean, the stuff with Luigi was good.
As a brother, as your own brother.
Oh God.
I was like, man, that's me and Choop. More Mario and Luigi.
Choop's locked up for half the movie.
Yeah.
Josh is the one that's always scared, and I was always there to be.
So that plot device, that story beat is good, but as far
You
as
needed more of
as
it.
far as plot goes, it is very, oh, let's go here. Oh, we're at Donkey Kong. And we're let's get the Donkey Kong army and go get Bowser. You know what I mean? It's very just like paint by numbers.
So
let's go here. Let's go here.
Well, I think the difference is because it's animation, you can get away more of that. Like, oh, it's just with a live action, you're gonna have to put in the, like Corey said, the legwork to be like, why do I care about these characters?
Yeah.
What's the motivation? And I don't think it's just gonna be like, now let's go to the Gorons because we need to get the Firestone.
Right.
You know,
They can't. You can't do that. So we'll see. I think it's going to be challenging, but obviously I'm excited for it.
I'll be there opening day.
100%.
Me too. 100%.
Green shorts.
Blast off. Oh wait, that's not
Blast.
It's not a trailer.
Let's go into since we're talking about Nintendo and games, the Game Awards nominations were announced. So Corey and Josh know all about the games that were announced. So let's go through the nominations. You have them, Josh?
I don't have all of them. We can go over Game of the Year.
Yeah, we off the rip we can do that.
Yeah, we'll do Game of the Year, and then it's the 6th or 7th, so I think we can talk about in depth more.
And they again, correct me if I'm wrong, but at the Game Awards they also do like game reveals, right?
Right. Yeah.
Is there anything that is rumored or that you guys are looking forward to, or is it just kind of pretty quiet?
Anything. Yeah, pretty quiet. Haven't heard of anything yet, but they do nominations for all types of things. Like they even do esports nominations and stuff like that. And so they do all sorts of stuff. Yeah. Back in the day, I think a couple years ago, Cloud9 won esports team of the year. So
Nice.
that's pretty sick.
Corey got on stage.
Accepted
and then the Bill
Clinton kid came up. Yes, great.
Rabbi.
All right, can you give us the?
So the nominees for Game of the Year are Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, which came out like 2 weeks ago, Resident Evil 4, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, it's crazy that Resident Evil, and I think a lot of people would disagree with me on the Alan Wake one, but those two, I'm surprised they made it there, and I'm surprised Diablo 4 isn't on this list.
What is the criteria for it? Like, what's it just has to release in 2023?
Releasing this year. There's usually a distinct, like, Game of the Year is just all around best game. They do have best narrative.
Yeah.
So last year, or was the year before, it was like the cop out of Elden Ring won Game of the Year, but God of War won best first or whatever, best narrative or something like that. So they can still give like
best story game or whatever.
best story game or whatever. So there's different categories, but the real big one, Game of the Year, is the one just all around best game.
Does Tears of the Kingdom have any shot at winning? Because that's, I mean, obviously, as I love that game, and I don't play anything else.
Dude, you got two on. You played Super Mario Bros.
That's
Wonder.
true.
That's probably more than
I've
you
gotten
played.
two games that I've played on Game of the Year.
Can we also say this? Like, Nintendo has 2 out of the 6 positions here, so that's an amazing feat.
Yeah.
And Wonder came out not that long ago.
It's the highest grossing Mario game ever.
Yeah. So
I mean, quickly.
I think that's why it's here on this list. But when it comes to who is voting on this kind of stuff, I don't think Zelda wins. But
who does vote on it?
us, you, me. And everyone.
Oh, so you can go and vote.
You go and
So
vote.
I can go and vote.
Yeah, go.
Okay.
Go
Tears of the
vote.
Kingdom. Go, baby.
Go vote for Tears of the Kingdom, I think.
So it's not like the Oscars where it's like an Academy.
No,
votes.
that's what this is. So they chose these, or was this also publicly chosen?
No, they chose these.
Yes, so their
Oh,
committee
so
chose
the
the
committee
six.
chooses
And
the
then the-
six.
That's why Alan Wake
The
is on
people
this.
vote. Yeah.
Okay.
And then whoever wins the popular vote will win Game of the Year.
Yeah.
okay.
So that's
Where do
why
you go to vote?
Just
The Game Awards?
GameAwards.com.
yeah. I it's interesting to me because Spider-Man Wonder, they came out really late in the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of surprising that they're on
Alan
this
Wake
list.
only came out a week or two
Yeah.
ago.
Alan
also.
Wake, yeah. How weird.
Resident Evil's been out since the summer, or even
Yes.
earlier than that. So
But I'm surprised that's on there too.
But so let's talk about that a little bit. What? Because I feel like there's an element to games that there's certain games that I'll play and then I'm like, after I beat them or whatever, then I'm like, I'm done with it, and I never go back to them again. But there's a level of certain games that you play them and then you're like, I want to go back and play that again, or I want to continue. You know, like that happened to me with Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. It was like, I've already passed this, but I still want to go back and replay this and just that kind of stuff. So how does that work? You know, like with the Spider-Man game or Mario Wonder, which I've played Mario Wonder, so I don't think there's much replayability unless you play with multiple people. But as a solo game, it's like once you pass it, you passed it.
yeah.
So to me, it just feels like you can't really know if it's a great game unless you've kind of put it through its paces and then been like, oh man, I haven't played that in a couple weeks. I want to go back and play that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I just feel like it's to put a game that just came out 2 weeks ago.
So you're questioning why Wonder's on that list then?
Wonder,
it's just
or even the other ones you guys are
Yeah.
saying. Like, I feel like for it to be a great game,
it wasn't time
it's
tested.
got to
enough.
have that.
Yeah.
but I mean, I feel like when you play a game, you definitely know, like,
If it's
oh, I'm going to play this again for sure. You know what I mean? Or you'll get that game where you're like, it's kind of a slog to get through. And you're like, I'm just finishing this for the sake of finishing it. So I think there's that aspect of it too. Like a good game is you know instantly if it's a good game or not.
I think it maybe takes me 2-3 hours until I understand if this is a really amazing game or not, or how it's going to play out. You know, put in 3 hours into Jedi Fallen Order, you know if you like it or not, right? But yeah, I would agree. That's a good question. Yeah, do you need to beat the game to have an opinion on this? No, you don't.
And here's another one. Why do you think Diablo 4 is not on this list? Do you think it's good enough to be on this list?
100%.
And why do you think it's not?
I think that Blizzard has a lot of negative stuff in the press in the past couple years, and also I think they're going to win some other award. So,
Okay.
But I still think it deserves to be there instead of like Resident Evil. Like it's just interesting.
And Resident Evil is a remake, right?
Yeah, so it is a remake from the ground up, and I think they did change certain things in the game.
Yeah, but
that is kind of a weird. I was talking to someone about that, and we were talking about what we thought was going to get nominated, and they said Resident Evil, and I was like,
Yeah, that's
is that kind of a loophole?
Did Resident Evil 4... did they have Game Awards back when Resident Evil 4 originally came out? Okay.
no.
So that's one of those that's like, I mean, the Resident Evil 4 is the best out of the Resident Evil games, so it would make sense that the remake with updated graphics would be a great game. One of those other games that's not on there, so we already said Diablo 4, but Starfield isn't on there, which a lot of people thought would be on there. I think it's nominated for Best RPG, but that was, Bethesda's big game, and it's not even up for Game of the Year.
Imagine losing to a remake, dude. I'd be so mad if I was Bethesda. That's a good point. Yeah, Starfield and Diablo 6 or Diablo 4, Diablo 6, Diablo 4 should be on here, I think. But
Alan Wake 2, I think, is more of that. It's kind of like in the Oscars, you get kind of like that indie.
You get the
one
critics
that's
and
Oscar bait.
I'll also remind you guys of this, like whatever the last event he did was, whatever the online Gamescom or whatever.
Yeah.
Not Gamescom, but the equivalent.
Yeah.
Alan Wake was like featured as like a
Right.
game that like sponsored his event.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it has anything to do with
Yeah.
that. I love you, Keeley, dude. But yeah, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
They're not gonna win.
No.
It's gonna be Baldur's Gate 3, hands
Yeah.
down. It was the most played game. It's still cracking number 1 or 2 on the Steam played charts right now. That game has, in my opinion, real close to infinite replayability.
Yeah.
The amount of work that they put into this game, the amount of dialogue, story, just pure like options. Like you think about Mario Wonder, you beat the game and then you like go through with the bonus effects and try to unlock 100%. This game is like you can't even think about 100%ing it.
Yeah.
You want to see every outcome. You want to see all the different dialogues. Yeah, no way. Like it's going to take you years to do that.
Jeez.
This game has crazy attention to detail. And one of the best things about this game and why it's going to win is because they did great by the fans by saying, hey, you're going to pay $60 and you're going to get everything. And there's no microtransactions or anything like that. And they're very outwardly spoken about all these things. And it's one of the biggest content games that we've seen for years. So I don't know. Yeah, it'll win for sure.
Yeah, I think
100%.
yeah, Baldur's Gate 3.
Not if I have something to say about it.
You could try,
Yeah, spam
try
the
with your
vote.
Zelda, yeah. But yeah, fun stuff. I think
Nice.
that we've been quite spoiled 2023 with games. There's a lot of amazing games that came out.
Nice.
So one of the best. So anyway, yeah, hey, we'll see.
What a blast.
We'll see who wins. Yeah, it's been a blast.
All right. What was next? Oh, we got some Marvel news before we go into Loki. We're just going to talk a little bit. First, I don't know if you guys want to talk about this. I don't think. Did any of you guys watch the Marvels?
We didn't.
Okay.
I didn't.
No, bro, I said I was going to, and it didn't happen.
Dude, I just forgot.
It this weekend, it's the lowest box office
It's all our fault.
of any Marvel movie. It's even lower than The Flash, which that's crazy. Lower than Black Adam. I think it was 46 million over Veterans Day weekend is nuts, especially since the first Captain Marvel made a ton of money.
And there's no excuse. Everyone had time off.
Yeah. So this
crazy,
movie,
right? Usually that helps the sales.
yeah, it didn't work. Some people, again, were saying, well, it was because the writer's strike. They couldn't promote the movie. No, that had nothing to do with it because
They promoted the
Oppenheimer
movie a
came
lot.
out and made almost $1 billion, and they didn't have any of their actors.
Yep.
You know, there are movies that came out that did well. This was just, I think, again, Disney not understanding and Marvel not understanding what.
Did the actors in the Flash, were they able to?
No.
Exactly.
No.
That's what I thought.
So I
Get
just
outta
think
here
this
with
is
that.
what Marvel has failed to. They've really kind of dropped the ball with a lot of their stuff that they're moving forward. So, anyways, box office is pretty bad for that. Even internationally, it's been like the worst in China and all these other places. So, not doing well there. But one of the things that came out of that with a lot of the Marvel stuff was we talked a bit last week about a Variety article that came out with all this stuff. Well, the writer, I forget his name, he was on a podcast talking about how he was going to be doing Kang Dynasty and that he's not writing that anymore. And he claimed that they're moving away from Kang.
Right.
We don't know. There's been rumors that they're going to do Doctor Doom and bring him in. So
there's some
that's
teases
kind
for
of
that.
nuts. What do you guys think of that whole aspect of things? Do you think they move away from Kang? I don't think it's necessarily the aspect of what this actor's going through and the legal troubles. I think it's more that they had ants take out Kang in Ant-Man, Quantumania, and people really got like, who is this guy?
No way.
I think there's part of that.
It's 100% his situation. His legal
I don't
situation.
no, because even some of the situations have come out where they're now pressing charges against the woman that did this, that said this stuff.
But they've even said that he had incidents on the set
Yeah.
of Loki 2 when he was in London. He had so more stuff has come out since that of them like, hey, maybe he's not the best dude in the world.
Yeah.
So I think they're 100% like, maybe it's not the best idea to.
Definitely
Keep going
probably
with this
one
guy.
of the driving factors for it.
But I don't see how you pivot away from a movie called Kang Dynasty.
You can't.
And then you're like, well, it was Doctor Doom all along.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I don't know.
No, I think what they're doing is, and there's some stuff in Loki we'll talk about later, but like they're setting up Doctor Doom after Kang, or maybe it's intertwined. But I think that it will go Kang then Doctor Doom. But
And then Magneto.
My question is though, if it's about the actor, then why not just recast? I think they did damage to the character of Kang.
Well, it's a combination of both.
And so this is the tweet that I wanted to read. Jeff Loveness was reportedly told that Marvel Studios was likely moving away from the Kang storyline, hence why he's no longer writing Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. So that was on a podcast that he was on saying. So to me, I just think we talked about there's a bunch of people in Disney that were like, man, we thought Ant-Man Quantumania was a hit, and we were really shocked. I think they didn't realize how much Kang in that movie there was going to be, because a lot of people talk about that scene where he's like, he just got destroyed by Ant-Man and a bunch of ants. Like, how are we supposed to fear this guy? And the end credit scene with all the Kangs freaking out wasn't, a lot of people laughed at that scene. So I think there was damage was kind of done through how they set this character
how
up.
they portrayed him.
And so, because if it was his legal problems, you just recast, Idris Elba, whatever. I don't care. Denzel Washington is the new Kang. Like, it's really not that big of a deal. But the fact that they're moving completely away from this character tells me that they underestimated how people were going to react to Kang in Ant-Man.
The only thing I would say maybe that might not be the case fully is that there's many different kinds of Kangs, and so what's his name, Timely is not anything to be super feared.
Yeah,
he's just fun, generally fun and lighthearted kind of and interesting in that way. Yeah. So it's like I don't fear that Kang. The whole idea is that there's many different Kangs, and that he keeps foreshadowing. Yeah, you should be worried more about these other ones, you don't even know, kind of a thing. So I don't know. I mean, if you can disconnect from each Kang, then it's fine.
The problem is what they did in Ant-Man was saying the Kang he was banished by all the other Kangs because he was the worst one. And the council
worst as in like he was lame to hang out with.
Yeah,
I mean, bad jokes.
The council of Kangs were like, this guy's a problem.
But we've learned more about Kang, right?
Right.
And things have changed as far as like the timeline and stuff like that. But I mean, I'm not afraid of Kang, personally. Like, I don't think he's
Kang don't scare me.
I think there's an issue with having a bunch of the same guy also. Like, that's just kind of weird.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Yeah. If there's that many Kangs, like, wouldn't they just destroy the whole universe?
Well, that's what Loki was trying to prevent.
Right.
The other thing that came up in all this, Captain America 4 is undergoing massive reshoots.
Yeah.
Because they did an internal screening, and apparently there were terrible feedback. So they're going back to the drawing board and reshooting a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Which to me is, again, a sign that people at Marvel, Kevin Feige, don't really know what the fan base wants. I think they got so, there were so many people that any movie they put out would cross, 150 million opening weekend and get close to $1 billion or cross the $1 billion, that they were just let's just keep doing it. And then I think people talk a lot about superhero fatigue in movies, but I don't know if it's necessarily that. I just think with the economy how it is, how everything's so expensive, people are more picky about where they're going to spend their money. And if they're watching a trailer for a movie that they don't think looks good, they're not going to go. Before it was you got guys going and watching a movie 5 times. Well, when you've made the same movie... Yeah.
Watch the Marvels in this economy? Not me. I don't think so.
What I'm saying is, when you make so many movies that are the same and people get burned out with it, it has to be something special that draws people to a movie.
Like Barbie.
Exactly, like Barbenheimer. But I just think Marvel has underestimated they thought it was just going to be we put something out, slap Marvel on it, and people go watch it. You got to do a little more work than just give us a 30-second end credit scene that's going to get people excited. So I I don't know. That's kind of interesting that they've spent so much money on Captain America 4 and now they're going to spend more money. Is it going to be dead on arrival? What do you guys think?
I don't think so. I think it at least has a legacy character. You know what I mean?
God,
So I think-
kind of.
Yeah, the Captain Falcon.
Yeah, but
Captain Falcon.
I mean, as Anne pointed out, Sam Wilson is his name.
That's the guy.
I barely remember it now that she even told me. Holy crap.
But
Sam.
Bucky's
does he
supposed
have
to
a
be
draw?
Bucky's supposed to be in that too, right?
okay.
Winter Soldier.
So yeah, they'll spin it and they're gonna be like, Bucky's back, baby, and
Okay.
people will go watch it. It's not gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be a Marvel situation. I think it'll at least make more money than which.
well, doesn't it technically have Avengers in the title?
I don't think so. It's
No.
Captain
No, it's Captain America
It's Captain
4,
America.
Captain America 4, and then what's the name of it?
Oh,
New World Order? I
Yeah,
think?
New World Order. Yeah, then I don't.
Yeah.
They're gonna be like, oh, sweet Captain America, and then it's not the Captain America.
Like,
they
hey, that
remember.
guy's not the
Like,
guy.
Wait, I thought he got old and like went back in time.
Captain America 4, One Last Dance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, I think Marvel's
Good luck. Good luck. Good
in
luck.
trouble.
Good luck.
But the other rumor that's coming out is that Kevin Feige is leaving Marvel
That's smart.
and
going
that
to DC.
he is going to Star Wars.
Yep.
Is that why they canceled his movie?
Well, apparently because of, there's just rumors that this movie's canceled. Kathleen Kennedy said, "Oh, we never did anything with it." Other people said that they wanted to do something. But the rumor is that now he wants to take over Star Wars, and there's this kind of inner battle going on between Kathleen Kennedy
Where are you
and
getting
Kevin
this
Feige.
information?
I'm
dude?
just saying that's what the trades are saying, bro.
I heard the same
Variety.
thing. I heard the same thing.
Yeah. And we are on opposite sides of the internet. Like I live in this
That's
one
true.
corner, he lives in this other one,
a good point.
and we heard it, so it's
I don't know about
expanding.
opposite, but if I was into like
Adjacent.
crocheting, maybe. Yeah, we're on the opposite end. We're farming.
So yeah, and
Yeah.
here's a question. Again, I think Kathleen Kennedy has made mistakes. I think she gets blamed for more things
100%.
that are out of her control. I think you have to call out the bad things she's done, but you've also got to say the good things she's done. And
Yeah, like the Last
she's
Jedi.
the Mandalorian, the Ahsoka show, some stuff we've got.
Got
I
him.
really
Trash.
liked. I really liked Rogue One. I think she's done some good things. So I'm not necessarily thinking she needs to get out. I don't think Kevin Feige's a better option because I'm not a huge Marvel fan. So, but what do you guys think? Kathleen Kennedy, do you want to keep her in there? Would you rather have Feige get a shot?
We're Team Filoni all day.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Give him the keys. Get Feige out of there. Kathleen Kennedy, like you said, you take the good with the bad. They should have had a plan for the sequel trilogy, but the only reason we have Dave Filoni directing is because of Kathleen Kennedy and her basically pairing him up with Ryan Johnson
Babs.
and doing that stuff and Favreau and all that stuff. So, I mean, I'm not tied to Kathleen Kennedy to run Lucasfilm for
you
forever.
were.
So, Dave Filoni, that's my vote.
The heir apparent.
Feige is one of those things where I'm like, I would be concerned in some ways just because of the way they ran Marvel. And I don't want 4 Star Wars movies a year.
Yeah, I mean, depending on who directs.
Yeah.
Nah,
Feige
too much.
Feige would be Feige would be a risk. Yeah, I think so. I think he's too strongly opinionated in how, especially with his sheet of work that he has, he'd be like, "Oh, you all have to listen to me because of how much money I made with the Avengers. Ever heard of it? Kind of a thing. Like, you got to listen to me." And I think that
Ever heard of Iron Man?
He would run it into not the ground, but he would run it the same way Marvel was run. So, yeah, I'd be super worried about that.
Yeah.
I think that Dave Filoni might get not choked out, but like kind of, he might, he might get choked out. No, but like
He's like, come here,
he
boy.
we want him to have a bigger,
Stupid cowboy hat off.
get a lasso around his neck. I'd like for him to gain more control and more creative liberties in the space there at Disney. So I don't know. Depends on Kevin Feige's kind of like take on Star Wars and what he likes, what he doesn't like. if I talked with a guy, maybe I could get a good take on it. If he liked things like Ahsoka and Clone Wars and stuff like that, I'd be like, oh, you did? Okay, all right. What do you think about Anakin Skywalker? Kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But it's just a rumor, so it'd be crazy though. That'd be a crazy move. Be smart on his part.
Yeah.
Marvel's
Get the sinking ship and go to the other one.
Move to the
and sink another one. The last thing we'll kind of talk about before we go to Loki, DC news. The strike ended. Everyone applauded and cheered. Hooray.
Yes.
All the guys that were not able to do content are now doing content again. So, guys, we're not going to get the views because all the real YouTube channels are going to be covering everything.
Really?
But
just like I didn't notice anyone.
But James Gunn came out and said that the everything is moving back, everything's being delayed. But he said the Superman movie is still coming at its original date. He did post something that was like the department kept working even through, and people are like, oh, so they were working through the strike? That's illegal. They weren't supposed to be doing that. But oh well, no harm, no foul.
I mean,
but
it's not legal.
still coming
They
out.
were part of SAG-AFTRA. If there's just like the set people.
I don't know.
It's not illegal. They're not going to go to jail for this.
Well, no, but like solidarity. Come on.
Yeah.
So it's
Scabbing
still
it
coming
up.
out. Still coming out on its. I think I can't remember the date is, but it's 2025.
Yeah.
June or July. I think it's June. But the font made me angry. That they announced on the date of there. It was like the old school Superman font.
What do you hate, Superman?
No,
Okay.
but
it's just the red with the yellow. You know what I mean, or the. Blue.
but it's just like the. There's so many people that are like, Man of Steel wasn't Superman.
Let it go,
they
bro.
wanted to go back to the Reeves, and this is just kind of like, hey, I'm gonna give back the red trunks. He's gonna be like the
Boy Scout.
Christopher Reeve Superman.
Why
and
does that make you angry?
It just seems like
Exactly.
it's
Problems.
just nostalgia bait. That's what it is.
Oh, bro.
So
A lot of movies
That's
do
all I'll
that.
say. That's all I'll say about that.
I think that's all there is to say.
That's all there is.
Well,
to
something
say.
to look forward to next year. Or 2 years from now.
That is true. We'll see how it goes. Let's move on
Yeah.
to the final topic of this show. We got the Loki
Loki.
season 2 finale.
Wow.
What'd you guys think?
Man.
Hit that spoiler warning.
Which one was that?
We're
We got
talking spoilers all day.
Full
spoilers.
spoilers.
Full spoilers.
Spoilers.
That's right.
Be advised. Spoilers ahead.
I thought it was actually pretty good. I think this is probably Loki season 1 and season 2, probably the best show that Marvel has done.
Yeah.
Acting wise, visually, storytelling wise, I just think it's probably the best one. There are things I didn't like about it, obviously, but I still think it was pretty good. I liked what they did at the end, and I think it was a good full circle moment for Loki's character, even with stuff he said and what he ends up doing and becoming. He kind of becomes like the keeper of all the timelines, like giving them more time. I thought that was a cool like self-sacrifice thing. I don't know how that then works in the grand scheme of things, but for the show, I think it was a good arc. Some of the negatives that I had is I felt like it could have been more emotional, but they had these moments with Mobius and Agent 15. I think that's her name. They have like this emotional like where he's gonna leave and she's like, well, I'll see you in there, and they kind of have this goodbye moment, and I felt absolutely nothing because they never really had any scenes together.
Yeah.
So I was like,
that one was weird.
I was like, this is, I'm supposed to be feeling something, and I don't feel anything because you didn't develop anything of a relationship with them. So I thought that was kind of weird. I wish they could have made more emotion, connect more emotion with these characters. And so it didn't land as emotionally as I thought it could have. That was my negative of the show. Some of the time travel stuff I thought was silly at the beginning, where he's like, I've been doing this for 100 years. And I just thought they completely changed how time travel worked for this, when how they set it up in the Avengers. it's like, this isn't like Back to the Future. Well, this was kind of like, it was just kind of like, it wasn't consistent. So that too was like, after a while, I was like, yeah, this is just kind of, meh to get to the point where he makes that self-sacrifice. But what do you guys think overall?
I mean, yeah, I've had to just kind of put blinders on to that aspect where I'm like, okay, so we talked about how if you go back in time and you change stuff, you create more, divergences and stuff like that. Like, and at the end here, it's like we're flying all over the place, changing things, and I don't know that. Yeah, we just ignore that. I think. Visually, it was cool. I actually liked a lot of the effects they did. I wasn't like crying or anything like that, but I thought it was okay. Like those good, like the kind of goodbye visits. Like I like the one where he talked with Mobius and he's like, what would you do? Like, how do you choose who lives? And like all these questions and stuff like that. And the stuff with Sylvie and stuff like that, it worked all right for me. It was interesting to kind of see this side of Kang, or the one who remains or whatever, where like they had this interesting like trade of ideas, and he's like, yeah, I've thought of all those things. And then all of a sudden he starts bringing up other points. He's like, oh, and like his whole like demeanor changes super seriously. And like, he was all like kind of like putting on a facade, like, oh, whatever, like this is the end, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden he's getting, his true nature comes out. And I thought that was very interesting. And I think they did some really cool effects to kind of show moods, and kind of like in that not throne room, but that office room almost at the end of time or whatever. In season 1, it was like very gloomy and stuff like that. And when he went back in time to kind of stop Sylvie and stuff like that, it was like very illuminated with the fire. And I think that's really cool to kind of like, I thought they did a lot of cool visual things to kind of clue in on kind of the feeling and maybe foreshadowing new things, where it's like maybe there is like a brighter future, and instead of dreariness and it all just ends, or else it's always the same thing over and over. So I think that with Loki, when I think of the series as a whole, it's like, what actually happened?
Yeah.
The only, really, when you think about it, nothing really happened at the grand scale. I mean, sure, Loki's now in this position of, whatever you want to call him, masters of stories, whatever he is. But, and I think really all this was to have this really cool, like, growth and kind of journey for him, just personally. And I thought that was cool. I think that was very interesting because, think about where Loki started and where he's at now, where he's basically sacrificed his whole well-being to the future of all futures and realities. That's like, what greater sacrifice could there be?
Yeah.
And I think that it showed his heart throughout all of these moments where he used to be a liar and he would fake, he'd lie and cheat, and he'd put on this facade of, oh yeah, I really care about you. And he never really did. And he's had this amazing kind of, almost a hero's, I would call it like a hero's story, kind of hero's adventure, to where he is now. So I think that's probably the best thing that came out of this series, is his endpoint. Yeah. And I thought that was very cool. But yeah, time travel stuff, yeah, don't get me started. But what'd you think, Josh?
Yeah, I think it's probably the best character arc that Marvel has, that they've done. For me, I think it really worked really well, just the way where he started and where they have him end. I think, kind of like you guys, I am compartmentalizing it a lot, of like, I just got to look at this show and I don't need to worry about how this is going to affect another show, right? Or even some of the stuff I'm like, well, I've seen Loki, and I guess technically this is Loki before some of these like Thor movies or Thor Ragnarok and stuff like that. But it kind of lessens the character for me, seeing those portrayals of the stuff with his dad, and then basically turning it into a joke later throughout Thor Ragnarok and some of the other movies. So I'm kind of just like tunnel vision,
which did happen or didn't happen,
right? It happened to another version of him, which is like,
so it's different,
right? But I will maintain it's the same character.
Yes.
So
Yes.
he's gone through some changes.
Yes.
But yeah, I thought it was. I didn't have a problem with the time travel. I think probably what they would say is like, well, there's all these additional timelines being created anyway, and he's going to try and solve it anyway. So that's how they're getting through it.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, same thing with 100 centuries later. I'm just like, I don't need to see what happened. That's fine. Whatever. We'll brush by it. But I did like kind of his back and forth where he's like, all right, here you go. You guys created the TVA. That's great. Okay, let's keep going. And he like how he kept going through some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Or where Mobius is like, oh, he's gonna come for you. Yep, I'm coming for your job. That's right. Okay. Like I thought that was pretty cool.
With the time travel.
Yeah, when he was like just trying to speed him up. Or then even when he came back and he's like, okay, over here, step over here. Whenever you're ready, let's go.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. And then I agree with you. The conversation that he has with He Who Remains at the end, I didn't like his portrayal in the end of season 1. Like he just seemed really annoying.
Felt too light, too annoying.
Right, just like really like
it didn't make sense,
bro.
Especially this is our first real interaction with him.
Right,
King the Conqueror. What?
And now I see what he was doing. Like he's playing that, but it seemed a little too over the top for me.
Yeah.
And seeing him, get super serious, and like I thought that was kind of cool to see a different side of it. Even though I would have preferred him to kind of tone it down a little.
Yeah.
But yeah, the conversation that he has with Mobius also about, well, glorious purpose, but to sit on the throne, it's also a burden. And that was just really good character development, good character stuff. And I thought it was really cool, like the scene of just him walking out and like his basically getting like his more comic accurate outfit, and then the horns changing and stuff as he walked. I thought was really cool, a really cool visual. And I thought all of that worked. His stuff with Sylvie also, and basically him making that, trying to decide how to make the decision, basically make the difficult decision how he was going to do that. I thought it worked really well, and yeah, I was actually pleasantly surprised. I think there was some things that happened earlier on the show that they never really came back to. Like they made the whole him pruning himself was going to be like a big reveal, right? And then I don't think we ever, unless I'm dumb, and so I probably missed it. But I don't think that.
I think that was just him going back every time, because he has that scene where he goes in with Renslayer.
Yeah,
that they played it off as a joke, but I was like, everything that was happening is meaningless now, because he goes in, he's like, yeah, we get it, and she's like, what? And at that point, she's like, has everyone captive, and she just murdered a bunch of people. So it's just kind of,
and for me, it's like
that. Yeah, that
I can't even comprehend it, because I think of so many variables. It's like, okay, like everything that changed that, like then that version of you would have changed, and the decisions you would have made would have changed, because you would
Miss
have
Minutes is still around then,
and you would have the knowledge of what you did before, bro. Yeah. My brain's going to explode. Anyway, but yes, compartmentalizing, yes.
Yeah, so there were some things that I was like, oh, you kind of set up as a big, it seemed like it was going to be it, and there wasn't really. I kind of like it when something comes full circle and you're like, oh, I now understand, especially in time travel movies, right? If they can make it fit.
That's like the whole thing.
And you're like, oh, wow, what a cool
like cool when Nolan twist. Does something in Memento,
like the Prestige.
And he shows you everything, and you're like, oh, that didn't happen.
It's called the Prestige.
I totally agree with you. I feel like that was an issue.
But I think overall, character-wise, it ended on a good note for me for Loki, I think. I think it's probably the best character arc, like I said, and then the best Marvel show, just writing-wise and performance-wise.
Yeah, as far as the writing, I would say, again, as someone who is known around the world for not being a huge Marvel fan, there were a few things that I thought were really good, and I was like, okay, I'll give them kudos to that. One was, I don't know if it was early in this season or in the first season, but when he's talking to Sylvie about what his biggest fear is, and he says to be alone. Like, I don't want to be alone. And he technically,
he's alone.
He becomes alone. Like, he sits on the throne alone. I thought that was really cool. The other thing is the line that he uses at the end of Thor, where he says to his dad before he falls off, where he says, "For you, for all of us." Like I wanted, I did this for you, for all of us. And then he has that same line, says it to Sylvie and Mobius, "For you, for all of us," and he makes that sacrifice. I thought those were some of the best. Not like is not hitting you over the top of the head. It's not like they do a flashback before so you see it. It's just kind of like if you know the character, you know these moments. And I thought that was really well done. And I think for that moment and for him to have that epic conclusion, all the other stuff is kind of the stuff that I dislike. This kind of pays off.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I can overlook those things to be like, all right, that was worth it to set up this thing. I wish they would have done a better job with some of the auxiliary characters so that there was more emotion to it. But I think what his performance and what he did for the character of Loki was really well done.
I think it's also real quick. I think it's a good example of them actually respecting the character.
Yeah.
And taking the character seriously. And that's why I liked this episode, was because it was ultimately, there were some lighter things, but ultimately at the end of it all, it was serious and it had some depth to it,
Can I ask you guys a question here? Because again, I'm not a writer, and you guys have known from my theories of like Star Wars stuff where I'm like, yeah, Han Solo's showing up, whatever. Mm-hmm. Would there have been, because I thought about this, would there have been, since he can move in time, right? He's learned to control, basically he can go anywhere,
right?
Because he holds everything. Would there have been an opportunity for him to have gone to the past and have a conversation with Thor or with his dad that would have worked before he makes that sacrifice, that would have kind of brought more of an emotional aspect where he even apologizes or explains something and has that moment? Would that have worked for you guys? Does that seem like a missed opportunity? Because I feel like that could have easily been done and it would have kind of put things a little bit over the top as a good thing. Like as a moment where you're like, man, if no one knows and you have, Chris Hemsworth show up, especially coming off the dud that was Love and Thunder, right? Where it's like the old Thor and that moment where they can have together, or even with his dad. I don't know. Is that something that you guys think they could have done?
I think it probably would have worked if you work, but then you're having him talk to Sylvie and then to Mobius, and then I think you'd have to pick either Thor or Odin.
That's what I'm saying. One or the other. I'm not saying both of them. I'm saying something that ties it back to his original character.
Yeah, I think that probably would have worked for me if because as long as he still has the conversation with Mobius, because then you're still creating that relationship, right? Or the payoff at the end still lands. And then maybe the last conversation he has is something with Odin. I think would be, I think that would have landed for me.
I feel like they put a lot of time into it, like in previous movies and shows. Like they've done a lot to be like, here's how he's learned and here's how he's changing. So it's like, I don't know if it would have like maybe buy into it more. I think one of the failed parts of it is maybe his relationship with Sylvie, which is weird in and of itself, but that's what they were trying to bank on. Because I think the idea was that, he was in love with her and he's basically like sacrificing that. It's super weird, but it's kind of one of those weird, like, I don't know what they were thinking in that moment. Because I do agree with you. There's a missing piece of like an immediate like connection of emotion. Yeah. Mobius is good, but I don't know. I think maybe Thor would probably be the best answer to that. But I don't know. They've run him through the ringer. He's done a lot of emotional things, like with the thing with Thor, oh my gosh, with him like getting his neck snapped and like sacrificing for Thor like that. Like there's a lot of crazy things that he's done. So I don't know, man. He's been, he's gone through a lot of mileage. So
Yeah.
I'm glad it's ending for him. Well, not ending, but a decent wrap up, at least for his
good
story.
story.
Well, how do you? Yeah. I mean, I guess the next question is, and we don't have to go into this because
Sure.
we've been going on this for a while, but how do you then connect this to what the movies are? Because obviously now he's holding all the timelines, like he's the god of stories. So that just to me is like, is Kang going to show up, or is Doctor Doom show up and kill Loki so then he control? It's just
the whole point was
the
whole point was that he wanted to enable free choice, and he'll just enable that. But gods don't live forever. Odin didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll see.
It's weird. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, interesting though.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're kind of setting him off aside, so they're like,
I think they made him.
you're over here.
I think he ascended.
Yeah.
I think the whole I think he's actually a deity, like a full blown capital G God. Like,
Well, and he says the line there says like we are gods.
yeah. But I think he is at this point immortal, and I think he's also stuck. He cannot release those unless he wants to kill.
He works out a little.
Yeah. So
Work out the
I think
pectoral.
Can you watch what's going on?
Yes.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he
'cause
did
he's
with
so
Mo.
obvious.
So then that's not a bad life.
And
You
it's
just
not-
be like,
It's kind of lonely.
I'm gonna go. Let's go to Universe 132. The Seahawks are playing the Broncos.
In the alternate reality
Russ
where
Sunday
Seahawks
morning.
has
Yeah.
a dynasty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Russell Wilson
never left.
the Hawks, and he won 8 Super Bowls.
And they figure out how to make him like ageless, so he just always keeps winning.
Yeah, he's like, I wanna. You know what? I'm gonna go to the universe where WB doesn't screw up the Snyderverse because that was awesome.
There you go. Yeah.
Because that was awesome.
Anyways, hey, before we go, let's give it a ranking. What did you give season 2 of Loki?
I think it's I think they did all right. I think I think that the last episode did a lot of work for them as far as like my preference on time travel things. So I think I was kind of feeling more like a 6s. I think it might break into maybe a 7 for me.
Nice.
So pretty good. I'm kind of surprised that
That's a
I enjoyed
blast. 7.
It. It's a technical blast.
I think it's a high 7 for me, like a 7-8.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty. It's solid.
I'd go with an 8.0. 8.0.
Yeah.
I thought it was good.
Yeah, it's really good. Wow.
So yeah, I think that's it. That's all we got.
Well, that should have
Do we
been-
not? Yeah, we. How come we don't have that one?
I'll work on it.
Yeah, get a wow in there.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We will be back next week. You can follow us on Facebook. We are on Instagram. We are on YouTube, TikTok. We'll be back next week with more, maybe some more trailers. Who knows? But whatever's coming, we'll be talking about it. So make sure you come back next week. See you later.
See ya.